Now, The Green Hornet is no ordinary superhero movie. As well as a crime-fighting duo and ruthless baddies, it also has humour, slapstick and even a touch of bromance. We'll be meeting the uber-creative French director Michel Gondry in just a moment, but first, let's take a look.
The city needs our help. We could be heroes.
We'll need a car.
Armor.
And weapons.
Wow!
But no tights.
Good.
Whoa! It's a gas gun.
How come I'm the only one with a gun?
Because you don't have fighting experience.
How does it even work?
The Green Hornet. This is a comic book superhero film. We have seen comic books brought to life before, but this is somewhat different. What brought you to this new imagining of the Green Hornet?
Well, I was attached to the project years ago, and to me it was the opportunity to create a world that's between my personal world and something that's much more accessible to the broader audience. And it didn't work out the first time, and that's like 15 years ago. And 2 years ago, when Seth Rogen called me to come on board, and of course I liked his work, and I thought it was part of this merging new style of comedy. More importantly, he had written with his collaborator, Evan Goldberg, a screenplay that was mainly portraying the friendship between two characters. And I thought that was a new take for this type of movie.
Absolutely. I have to say, as a viewer, I really loved the fact that the characters, they weren't these slick, perfect superheroes. They were actually often quite geeky, a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, as said, it's not embarrassed to be embarrassed, if I can put it this way. And I think that's part of his charm. But as well, the dynamic between Jay Chow, who is like super cool, but doesn't really speak or understand very well English. And so sort of pretends he's already on the top of everything, but really is kind of lost. For me, and that was reflecting in the film, but in real life as well, I thought it was a very interesting way for me to play the dynamic between the two actors.
I want you to take my hand. I want you to come with me on this adventure.
I'll go with you, but I don't want to touch you.
Okay, you don't have to take my hand, but will you come with me on this adventure?
As you say, Seth Rogen's casual comic style is all over the movie. It looks like fun to do. Was it fun to direct?
Yeah, it's a long process. It's physically quite exhausting, but the good thing is, like I said, is really somebody he's fun to be around. And I think we had a good team. I mean, the studio was there. But I never really saw that, okay, I'm going to have to argue with the studio to fight for my vision of the film. I always saw the studio as somebody who's going to help me to make a film that appealed to a broader audience, which was my goal to start with.
You were talking about Seth Rogen being part of this sort of new movement of filmmakers. You could characterise some of that as bromance. There was certainly an aspect of bromance in this movie, wasn't there?
It's something in a way I grew up with TV shows like The Avengers or with Tony Curtis and Roger Moore, when they were in the midst of the big action, but always bickering or arguing about small details. But on the other hand, they were very human in their sort of extraordinary life, and I thought that was an interesting departure for this genre, which is very serious those days.
Definitely, yeah. We've seen a lot of very serious superhero movies in recent times, superheroes with a conscience, that sort of thing, bringing in even political themes. This, as you say, much more comic. But it did keep a lot of those traditional aspects, like the special effects, for example. This is full of special effects, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's important to say that special effects were done mostly in cameras. I mean, we had a lot of stunts and explosions, and we really have an amazing team of people who like to blow up stuff. And we did some CGI, but mostly really we had again, an amazing time playing with the car. We decided to reuse the same car than the TV show because nothing could beat this Chrysler from Imperial Chrysler from '65.
The Black Beauty.
Yeah, the Black
Iconic.
Beauty, and we just added some gadget and weapon to it. But the fact that we could buy so many of them, like we bought like 30 of them, and we could keep slicing them, destroying them, blowing them up. And it would have been much more difficult with a car we would have to build from scratch.
Yeah! Hey, get in the front seat! Quick, quick!
What's the worst? What's the worst? Missiles?
4 missiles left. Hornet gun?
Check. Machine guns?
Check.
Does it drive?
Front-wheel drive.
Well, staying with the idea of special effects, this is also available in 3D, this movie. That's you really use 3D quite a lot throughout the movie. How did you find that?
For me, it was a new toy to play with. I knew I had played with it as a kid in different ways, and I knew what I could get, and I wanted to explore the way to use it. And I think we use it for transition, we use it to enhance the action, of course, and in some special effect where we are like in Brett Reed's head and we see all those flashbacks, we use the 3D to really make the audience like completely immerse into a world that doesn't exist, and that's really a luxury to be able to have this toy to play with.
It does give you more possibilities. Were there any points where you felt the 3D limited you at all, though?
No, never. We shot it like a 2D movie with a 3D in mind, so it never was a limitation.
You are, of course, in your previous films known for quite a fantastical, very creative style of directing. Endless Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, The Science of Sleep. Did you have to rein that in at all to do a comic book superhero movie, which has very much a style of its own?
Well, I didn't try to make necessarily my own style, and I didn't try necessarily to make a typical superhero movie. So I didn't find boundaries like that. Mostly I wanted to use all my skills, if I have any, to make the action look different, look more engaging and more surprising. And what I could keep for what I've done before is to be at to keep the audience at the same level than the character of the story, or more so to keep the character at the same level than the audience, not to portray people who are like extraordinary. Of course, Kato has a very special way of fighting, but basically you see him as somebody that could be your friend, as somebody of everyday, and I think that's what engaged me into this movie, directing this movie.
And the Green Hornet, it does have an ending that leaves it open to a sequel. Would you be interested in doing another Green Hornet?
Yeah. There is so many ideas we couldn't do in this one, which I hope we'll do in the future. So definitively, I'm interested.
Fabulous. Well, Michel Gondry, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here on France 24. That's the Green Hornet, which is coming out in cinemas this January around the world.